Okay, so now we're going to try question 9. But again, as normal, pause it and have a go. But I'll give you a few pointers because you might have forgotten the midpoint formula. So remember, for the midpoint, I like to use a capital M, and the formula is x1 plus x2 all over 2. It feels like years ago since we've done this formula. y1 plus y2 all over 2. Okay, so that's going to be your midpoint formula, and you're going to be using these points 1, 7. So 1, 7 is going to be my x1 and my y1, and 3, 1 is going to be my x2, my y2. So definitely pause it now, have a go, you find the midpoint, and then try the second part, okay? And that's similar to what we were doing in the classes on Thursday. And I'll go through the answers in just a second. Okay, so first up it asks to find the coordinates of P, and that we know that P is the midpoint between A, B. That's what it tells us here. So my x1 is 1, and my y1 is 7, my x2 is 3, and my y2 is 1. So all I'm going to do is I'm going to substitute these guys into this formula and find the point. So my x1 first is 1, my x2 is 3, that's divided by 2. My y1 is second, and that's here. And then my y2, which is also 1, and that's divided by 2. Okay? So my m is equal to 1 plus 3 is 4 over 2. 7 plus 1 is 8 over 2. M is equal to 2, 4. Okay? So that's your midpoint. That's going to come in handy at the very end, okay? So I'm going to I'll draw it in blue, okay? So just a section off. So that's the first part of it done. Now we're going to try and go through the second part. It then says, now find the equation of the line which passes through P and which is perpendicular to the line x plus 5y minus 7 equals 0. So we're going to use this guy here to find our slope. We have x plus 5y minus 7 equals 0, right? So what we need to use here, I'm just going to do it, we're going to need to use this formula, y equals mx plus c. So we put everything else except for the y on the right hand side, and then whatever number is front of the x, that's going to be our slope. But remember, it has to be a positive 1y. So I've got a 5y, so the 5y is going to stay on the left-hand side. And now this is equal to, the x is going to go to the right-hand side, so it's positive here, so it's going to be a minus x. The minus 7 goes to the right-hand side, so it becomes a plus 7. So what I'd recommend doing just before we divide by 5, just remember that a minus x is the same as saying minus 1 x. A few of you are just getting confused and sometimes having x as your slope. So just remember, we can never have an x in our slope. It's just going to be a number. So what we want to do is we want this to be, this 5y to just be a y. Okay? So we need to get rid of this 5. So in order to get rid of the 5, I hope I have enough space, we're going to divide by 5. And what we do to one side, we do to the other. So what that means is that this is going to go over 5, this is going to go over 5, and this is going to go over 5. Okay? So because this 5y is divided by 5, this 5 and this 5 cancel, and it just leaves me with the y. I'm then left with minus 1 over 5x plus 7 over 5. So my slope is the number, or the fraction in this case, in front of the x, which is a minus 1/5. So my m is equal to minus 1 over 5. Now we go back to what the question asks. Now find the equation of the line which passes through P. So we have P down here. It's this guy, 2, 4. and is perpendicular to this line. So we found the slope of this one, a slope perpendicular to it. So this is for perpendicular. We flip the fraction and change the sign. So it changes from a minus 1 over 5 to a positive 5 over 1. 5 divided by 1 is the same as saying 5. So the slope that we're going to be using is going to be 5. So here we go. So this is all a bit tight, so I apologize for that. So my slope is now 5 because 5 is perpendicular to minus a fifth. And the point that we're going to be using is the point we found at the very beginning, 2, 4. So we have our x1 and our y1. And what we're going to be using is the formula that we've been using a lot. Y minus y1 equals mx minus x1. So because all of these numbers are positive, it's going to make life very easy. So they're just going to substitute in. So we're going to have a y minus y1, which is just going to be minus 4. My m is 5, so 5 goes here. X minus x1, my x1 is 2. So I didn't do the brackets for my x1 and y1 because they're both positive numbers and I don't have a lot of space here, okay? If it helps for you to do the brackets, you can do the brackets. Go away. Then this 5 is going to multiply with the x, and it's also going to multiply with the minus 2. So we're going to multiply here. So we're going to be left with y minus 4 equals 5x. 5 times x is 5x. 5 times minus 2 gives me minus 10. And I'm just going to put everything on the left-hand side. So this positive 5x goes to the left-hand side, becomes a negative 5x. This y is positive, so it's plus y. I have a minus 4, and then this minus 10 comes to the other side and becomes a plus 10 equals 0. So I'm going to be left with minus 5x plus y minus 4 plus 10 gives me a plus 6 equals 0. Your back of the book again might have it as 5x minus y minus 6 equals 0. Again, both those answers would be correct. It's just, all I've done is I've just changed the sign, okay? And again, if you wanted to just look, so this was our final answer. Let me just circle it, put it in a box. And if we look at this answer compared to the equation, like what do you notice? Especially about the x's and the y's. Don't matter too much about the positive and the negative, but what's happened? The 5x, or sorry, we see in the first equation we have an x and a plus 5y, and then in the second equation it's a 5x and a plus y. The numbers have swapped, okay? We still needed to go through this process because we didn't know what this number was going to be. So that, I really wanted to go through that one because it was very, very complicated and very long, a lot involved. Just checking how we're doing for time. Okay. So make sure you got everything taken down here. I know there's a lot going on the screen, but as long as you followed it step by step, maybe rewatch it again if you were struggling and take it down step by step, not as a whole. And now just a quick look at the homework questions. So question 8, there shouldn't be any issues here, okay? Which one of the following lines is parallel to this? So you're going to make it, you're going to be using this formula, y equals mx plus c. Okay, so remember parallel lines, their slopes are the same. So you're going to bring this y to the other side, and it's going to be y equals minus 3x plus 4. So you're looking for a slope that's also going to have minus 3x, okay? There's just one of them. And question 10 then is not too bad as well, but I just wanted to mention, it says the line equals y equals 2x plus 5 intersects the y-axis at point P. write down the slope of the line and the coordinates of P. Okay, so just to find point P, you have y equals 2x plus 5. It's quite easy here that everybody should be able to figure out that my slope is 2 because the number in front of the x is 2, and this is already a positive y. But remember, when we've got this equation, y equals mx plus c, right? So the c, if we're copying what this equation looks like and this equation looks like, my c is the point 5, okay? So that means where it cuts the y-axis, it cuts the y-axis at 0, 5. So the point P, it's one of the things that's asked for, is the point 0, 5. Just in case you're a little bit confused with that. The rest of it should be fine, okay? It really should be okay. Any questions, just send me a message and I'll happily help you out. And yeah, perfect. Apart from that, have a nice day, guys, and I'll see you soon. Goodbye.